Well, today was supposed to be a day of reckoning for Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley. Both of them had many questions thrown at them that they had to answer in a very short time. And General Milley was answered for revelations about his actions from Bob Woodward and Robert Costa in their book Peril, released just a week ago. Milley even confirmed he also interviewed for two more salacious tell-alls about the Trump administration. Clearly, he was on the defenses. Joining us now with more of what took place on Capitol Hill today is Kristina Wong, national security reporter for Breitbart News. Kristina, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hi, Tony. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, in your view, as you covered today's hearing, what was the most significant revelation that came forth from today's hearing?
I think the top thing that came forth was that the Republican senators essentially forced the military leaders to split with Biden, to say that they had told him that they recommended 2,500 troops to be left in Afghanistan. Otherwise, you would see the collapse that we saw. So you had General Milley, who's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You had General McKenzie, who is the commander of U.S. CENTCOM. And then we have the previous testimony from the former commander of Afghanistan, General Scott Miller. So the testimony today was that all of them had recommended to President Biden that he leave 2,500 troops in Afghanistan. And President Biden did not follow their recommendations. And we all saw the disaster that unfolded in Afghanistan. So I think that was the top line. Secondly, a huge revelation was that General Mark Milley spoke for at least three books. So he spoke to the authors, about three or four journalists who wrote those books. He essentially sat down for interviews while still being active duty, and that's very unusual for a general and a military leader.
Kristina, I thought the exchange, I think it was between him and Senator Marsha Blackburn, where she basically said, you have all this time to sit down and interview for these books while everything is unfolding in Afghanistan. In fact, I think her quote was something along the lines that you may be remembered as the three that broke the military.
Yeah, it's highly unusual. I mean, members of the military are not supposed to talk to, reporters in general and are not supposed to leak. But here you have the top military officer openly, admitting to speaking to, journalists and leaking sensitive conversations with his Chinese counterpart, which he did not deny, by the way. So Milley did not deny any of the shocking allegations in these books that, he believed he was facing a Reichstag moment and all these very unflattering things about President Trump. He did not deny any of them. And it's clear evidence of politicization of our military. We used to have generals who would try not to weigh in on politics, but here you have the exact opposite. So I agree with Senator Blackburn about, these might be, the generals that bring down the military.
Kristina, final question for you. They make the move today or tomorrow. They walk across to the other side of the Capitol to the House. They'll be in the House Armed Services Committee tomorrow. What do you expect to see tomorrow?
Oh boy, it's going to be fun because you have a different decorum, I would say, from the Senate and the House. So I think you're going to see some real grilling, even more so than today on, General Milley and Austin, and just the disaster that unfolded that we all saw in Afghanistan. And, what's going to happen with Afghan refugees here in the U.S. There are reports of assaults at some bases where the Afghan refugees are held at. So there's a lot more ground to cover with this topic.
Kristina Wong, I want to thank you for joining us. As always, great to talk with you. And I agree with you. I think tomorrow is going to be even more rambunctious as they go to the House.
That's a great word, yes.